Welcome to this free immigration help channel. Today is May 24, 2023, and we are getting into the volume 99 of me answering your immigration related questions. As you can see, I have all your comments pulled up in front of me. Before we begin, I'm going to mention I am not an immigration attorney. This is not a legal advice. All the information provided in these videos on this channel are directly from official government sources like USCIS, of course, and the Department of State with their visa bulletin. So let's start with the very first question comment from Thiana Rodriguez. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing the name. I applied for my mom. She had the I-485 denied. Sorry about that. Sorry that happened. Should I fill Form 290B on my name as a petitioner or in my mom's name as the applicant? Thanks. You're very welcome. Thank you for your question, Thiana. So it really depends on what the denial was based on. You really have to carefully look through the notice of denial and see why it was denied. Because it might be as simple, because you mentioned that you are a petitioner. So I'm thinking that you are, as a US citizen, petitioning for your mom, I-130, and at the same time you have submitted the I-485 because she's here in the United States of America. Because that's what you can do. If the beneficiary is in the United States of America, you can submit together with I-130 the I-485. So I am getting that impression from your comment. If that's not the case, please clarify, and I might be able to give you a little bit more information. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because if it is something along those lines, maybe they just want to process I-130 first before you can actually submit the I-485. Maybe the current status of your mom being here will not allow her to remain in the country long enough for them to process her application, basically, because typically with I-130, once you get the approval from USCIS, it is transferred to the NVC, then NVC reviews the case, documentarily qualifies the beneficiary, and then you do the interview. If the prospective immigrant is here in the United States of America, you can do all of that here as one application package, because they're not going to be dealing with US Embassy outside of the country. But in some situation, they might deny the I-485 portion of the application and continue working on I-130 portion of the application, because because it's at their discretion, it's basically at their judgment, however they decide. Based on their judgment is, the immigrant is just not going to remain in the country long enough to have everything processed here. And if this is the case, then you really don't even need to worry about I-290B. You don't have to appeal this. Just get the I-130 cleared up, approved by USCIS, then through the NVC, get it documentarily qualified, and then as part of becoming documentarily qualified, then you will be dealing with the I-485 later, applying for that permanent resident card, basically. So if you can, please clarify your situation so I know exactly what's going on. Again, I would look through the notice of denial, exactly why they denied that application, and see if the appeal is the only way out. Because most of the times, if it's denial, a lot of times it's just a mistake. They didn't like something, some kind of evidence was missing, and you can actually, instead of submitting a denial, you can actually send them a motion to basically reopen the case, providing that additional evidence. So Thiana, if you could clarify this, I would really appreciate it. I'm gonna post this response here. Please don't respond, and that goes for everyone. Please don't respond to my comment within your comment, because I don't get notifications from YouTube for those. Just submit it as a separate comment and I will be able to address it in the next volume. Alrighty, let's move on to the next one from Habiba Khan. If we lose our welcome letter, now what should we do? Okay, so I'm assuming you're referring to the welcome letter from the NVC. Definitely not the good news, because the welcome letter, it shows the case number and the invoice number, the two numbers that you do need in order to log into the NVC portal, which is a very, very important step, because you're becoming documentarily qualified. So you definitely don't want to lose that. But if it is already lost, what you can do is you need to reach out to the NVC And I'll show you how to do it. I'll show you how to submit a public inquiry form. And for everyone who's watching, in case if I mention it further, you will know how to do that. So we're gonna go to this link right here. It's a visa bulletin for June 2023. You can find this link in the description of this video. So just click on it. You will have this page. At the very top, you will see a small navigation menu, and we're gonna click on Contact Us. I'm gonna actually open it in a new tab. All right, let's see. Of course, it's gonna take forever to load. Still waiting. All right, there we go. So if you scroll down a little bit, you will see US Visas Contacts. We're gonna go here, we're gonna click on that. Scroll down a little bit more, you will see this table, and at the very top row, you will see public inquiry form right here, email public inquiry form. We're gonna click on this, and then you will see once again, a little bit lower, online immigrant visa inquiries only, public inquiry form. We're gonna click on this, and finally this will give you the actual page for the public inquiry form. You'll scroll down and you will see if some information that you will have to provide to identify the case. Now you don't have the NVC case number because the welcome letter was lost, but you definitely should have the USCIS receipt number. And using that USCIS receipt number, NVC will be able to pull up your file and they will be able to provide you the missing information, resend you maybe the welcome letter, or maybe at least just send you the case number and the invoice number so that you can log into the portal. So put your USCIS receipt number here. Principal applicant's name, full name is going to be beneficiary's full name. Principal applicant's date of birth, the beneficiary's date of birth. Petitioner's full name, who are you, whether you're a petitioner or applicant. Your email address. And then in the inquiry, you can again provide some identifying information saying, hey, my name is this and this, my date of birth is this and this. The reason I'm emailing you is because I've lost my welcome letter and I am not able to access the NVC portal. So if you could please provide that information. Usually they're pretty quick to responding to the public inquiry form. It can take up to 2 weeks, but most of the times within 2 weeks they usually respond, and they definitely will be able to address this issue and get you your basically login credentials, the case number and the invoice number. These are the two most important things that you need in order to log into the NVC portal. Alrighty, let me put this and we're gonna move on to the next one from Rayula Ula. Says awesome, thank you very much, I appreciate that. Moving further to Denis Tufour. Denis, thank you for another question. This heart icon right here says that Denis is one of the top commenters. Appreciate it, Denis. So Denis asks, hi sir, can you get a welcome letter if the final action date haven't reached what the NVC have in the graph A, chart A? Does it happen like that? Yes, Dennis, great question. So whenever it comes to those two graphs, and looks like the bird is back. Bird is back to the window. Whenever it comes to the two graphs, Dennis is referring to the visa bulletin, and I'll show everyone, because you know it takes some time to understand. It takes some time a little bit to figure it out. It's a little bit confusing, but basically a visa bulletin, it shows how much more backlog there is for a certain category in family preference and employment based. I don't really do that much on the employment. It's mostly on family immigration. But if you are in a category, right, if there is a alien relative petition that you are involved with, whether you're a petitioner or beneficiary, and it is not an immediate relative category, then you're dealing unfortunately with a backlog, and you have to look at the visa bulletin and kind of estimate that backlog for yourself. So if you're looking at the visa bulletin, you will see that there is two different graphs. There's graph A, final action dates, and there's graph B, dates for filing. So graph B, both of them, they show the priority dates, but graph B shows when the priority date is reaching current, is becoming current. It's when you are getting the full access to the NVC portal. And that's what, Dennis, you're referring to. You're referring to the welcome letter from the NVC, basically saying, hey, we have received your case from USCIS. We have given you the access to, please log into the NVC portal. Here is your case number. Here is your invoice number, and start your documentary qualification process. Basically, that's really what it is. That's graph B. So getting the access to the NVC portal. So if we look at these dates, for example, F1 category, which is sons and daughters unmarried sons and daughters of US citizens, over 21 that is. So if we look at the graph B, F1, January 17 is the priority date. So people with the priority dates back in January 2017, as of right now, May, June 2023, are getting the welcome letters to log in to the NVC portal to start their documentary qualification process. So basically, NVC portal is right now opening up for them. Now, the graph A, if we go to graph A, it's the final action date. Final action date is when the applicant was documentarily qualified. That is considered the final action on the case. You are documentarily qualified and that's it. So here we see that people and beneficiaries in F1 category, unmarried sons and daughters of US citizens over 21, with priority date back in December 2014, are just now getting the availability of their immigrant visas. So if you're already documentarily qualified, if you're already past that process, and you want to know when the immigrant visa is going to be available, meaning that when approximately you are going to have your immigrant interview scheduled, immigrant visa interview that is, in the US Embassy or here in the United States, if it's a field office, if you're here, if the beneficiary is here in the United States. December 2014. People with priority date back in December 2014 are right now in May, June 2023, are finally getting their interviews, finally getting their immigrant visas. So that's the difference between the two. Hopefully I made it understandable, Dennis. If you have any follow-up questions, you already know. Don't hesitate to ask them. Okay, let's move on to the next one from Arslan. Hello, I have given asylum. Congratulations, huge milestone. And I received the I-797C paper as confirmation. Then they gave fingerprint and biometric appointment. I went to my appointment. I have I-94 document, I-797C document, and passport. In which category should I apply for a work permit? Because I was very confused. I would be very happy if you could help me with this. Your answer is very valuable to me. Thank you. Arslan, you're very welcome. Great question. Thank you for asking. So whenever it comes to, I'm gonna give you two options, because judging by your comment, I am not very sure. Were you already granted asylum, or did you get a notice that your application for asylum was already received? Okay, so it's still being processed, but it is already received. Or you have already been granted the asylum status. Because that's two different things. Granted asylum, you already submitted the application, you went through the interview, that's it. The process is complete, you were approved, now you're in a granted asylum status. So if that's the case, we're gonna go to USCIS.gov website, official government website for US citizenship and immigration services. We're gonna click on forms, and we're gonna go to all forms, and I'm gonna find the 765, which is the application for employment authorization document, which you can file online, which I would highly recommend doing. I'm gonna click on this, and I will open the instruction under forms and document downloads. You can find actual PDF for the instructions, and that's where you can find the category in which you are, based on applying for that employment authorization document. So if we scroll down a little bit, this is one of the first things you will see. So if you have been already granted asylum, then you are in A5 category, that is granted asylum. However, if you have submitted the application, it was accepted, you received the 797 saying that, okay, we have received and accepted your application, your asylum status is now pending, and it has been already over 150 days that you were remaining in that pending asylum status. In that case, you are going to be right here, pending asylum and withholding of removal applicants and applicants for pending asylum under the ABC. That's going to be C8. So you are either in granted asylum, A5, or pending asylum with already, so you remained in that pending asylum status for more than 150 days. That's the requirement. Then you're going to be C8 category. Alrighty, so let me go right back here. Let me put this for Arslan, and we're gonna move on to the next one from David Francis. Good night. Which date is more important on getting interview letter, documentarily qualified date? Are your or your priority date for IR5 category? David, thank you very much. That's a great question. So the good news, IR5 category, that's immediate relative. I'm pretty sure that's a US citizen filing for a parent. IR5, immediate, that's what IR stands for, immediate relative, which means that you are not dealing with the visa backlog at all. So you're not dealing with the visa bulletin, meaning that once your case is approved by USCIS, it's transferred to the NVC. Once the beneficiary is documentarily qualified with NVC, that's it. Their immigrant visa is already available. So as soon as basically the US Embassy has the available date for an interview, they schedule that interview. So you don't have to deal with, looking at the visa bulletin with a priority date, finding it out, none of that kind of stuff. Now, to answer your question, both of the dates are important because priority date is basically when USCIS received your case, all right? When they accepted your case. If you look at the original notice of receipt that you received from USCIS, that's the date on that notice is going to be the priority date. It is also shown once you log into the NVC portal. It shows the priority date right there at the very top right corner of the NVC portal. You can see the category and you can see the priority date. Now, the documentarily qualification date is also important because once you're documentarily qualified, especially in immediate relative category, you already know that the immigrant visa is available, that the NVC is done, and that your case is forwarded to the local US Embassy. You already know that the case is there at the embassy. You're just waiting for the interview basically be scheduled, and that's really it. It's really hard to estimate with the embassies when they schedule the interview. Usually it takes about 3-4 months for them to schedule in immediate relative category, but it might take longer. I have seen it as long as like 9 months in immediate relative. And the reason for that is because different countries where the US Embassy is, they have different schedules and different availability, and some of them are busier in a particular whatever it is that they're dealing with. If it's immigrant visas, whether it's employment based, family based, they might be a little bit busier than other US embassies. So if you do want to go a step further and try and get some answers to see when approximately that interview be scheduled, especially if you're already documentarily qualified and everything is all that is done, call the local US Embassy. You can find the local US Embassy on the website called usembassy.gov, and you will find a list of all the countries. Just click whichever country you're at. For example, let's say Egypt. If the beneficiary is in Egypt, right? You click on Egypt, and there you go. Both of one is in Cairo, one is in Alexandria, and phone numbers for these embassies. Just give them a call. Say, hey, I'm documentarily qualified. My immigrant visa is available. It's an immediate relative category. I just was wondering if you can give me some information on when my interview is going to be scheduled. It's at their discretion, so they might not give you any answers at all. They might just say, no, we can't give you the information. Don't be upset if they do that. Sometimes they do that. But you might get somebody who's understanding on the phone, and they might check their scheduling and give you that information, which would be very helpful, of course. Alrighty, so let me put this, and we're gonna move on to the next one from Joseph Migila. Hey bro, thank you. I appreciate your effort into this. Joseph, you're very welcome. I appreciate your kind comment. Moving further to, let's see, Dennis Clark. I'm from Jamaica. How long for file? We only get text and CV. How long for file? We only get text and CV. Okay, Dennis, if you could please clarify your comment, I would really appreciate it. I definitely do need a little bit more information. Which file are you referring to, and which text? I definitely do need a little bit more information than that in order to address your question. So if you can come back and answer, I've provided you the follow-up answer in my next volume. Alrighty, moving further to Kolawol Olakunle Richard. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing the name. Hello, sir. My priority date is March 15, 2015. How long will I wait? Thanks. Okay, Kolawol. So I'm definitely going to need, or I probably should say Richard. It's easier for me. Richard. Definitely need some more information. So if you can come back and as a separate comment, give me which category you're in, which family preference category that is. I already know your priority date, but please put the priority date in that comment as well, because I will most likely forget your priority date. So category, priority date, and chargeability area would be helpful. Also, in which currently in where the case is, basically. Is it still with USCIS? Is it with NVC? Has it been already documentarily qualified with NVC or not? All that information will be, the more information I get like this, obviously nothing personal, just case related, I will be able to give you better estimates, better overall estimates if I have that information. All right, moving further to JOCAP, Boltron. Question: can I file 485 in paper right away after filing I-130 online, or I have to wait for I-130 approval notice and then send that approval with 485? Okay, Jacob, this is JOCAP, I think. JOCAP, Boltron, JOCAP, sorry. Great question. So whenever it comes to filing one package, the I-130 and I-485 together, you are basically looking at the circumstances, where the beneficiary is at. If the beneficiary is here in the United States of America, yes, you do have an option to file both of these as one package together. If you're filing both of these applications together in one application package, I would definitely recommend filing them by paper together, both of them. Not separately, I-130 separately online and then separately application package for I-485, because that might create confusion at USCIS. You definitely don't want to deal with this. However, it might be, and I think in a lot of situations it is strategically overall a better step to submit the I-130 separately online. The sooner the better, obviously, and online, it speeds up the process. It makes it much easier. And the reason why I think it's strategically better is because you really don't know on the circumstances where the beneficiary is going to be by the time the I-130 is approved. Because you don't want to be dealing with a situation where you have filed the full application package together, I-485 and I-130, and for some reason, whatever the status of the beneficiary is, and they're here in the United States, maybe, let's say some kind of non-immigrant status, they have to leave, they have to go back, and now you basically had that I-485 filed kind of for no reason, because that's already part of the I-130. So I would recommend doing the just I-130, and then once you have I-130 approved, depending on where the beneficiary is, if they're still here in the United States by the time the case is at NVC, then NVC themselves, they will offer you an option to just have everything processed here, and then you will be dealing with the I-485, and it will be a much easier, much smoother process, rather than sending the whole application package right now, and then you're waiting, because you will still be dealing with, even if it's an immediate relative category, you will still be dealing with some time to wait, regardless, because that's just unfortunately how it is. The I-130s, they do take some time to process. So it is up to you. The only recommendation, if you do decide to file them together, the only recommendation I would give you is file them in paper together as one application package, so that it's one. So when the immigration officer opens it up, they don't see just the I-485 and then they're like, on what ground, basically. But they have both of them, and then they're like, oh, okay, so they're petitioning for, the beneficiary, for the relative, and because they're here in the United States, here's the I-485 together with the application. But again, it's up to you. This is just my personal recommendation. This is how I would do it, and that's one of the things I will be dealing actually with pretty soon. So yeah, so I definitely can relate. It's not just me giving some recommendations that I myself would not do. This is what I'm going to do myself. All right, let's move on to the next one from Keita Smith. Hello, how are you? I filed I-130 for my husband, who is from and live in Nigeria. I'm a U.S. citizen. Our case is an IR1, which is great, immediate relative category, and we were documentarily qualified 26 September 2022. On our priority date is 15 July 2021. Can you please tell me when will my husband get his interview date? Kita, thank you very much for the question. Congratulations on becoming documentarily qualified. That's definitely great news. Plus IR1 category, that's immediate relative category. That's a category that is processed the fastest. But for everyone who's watching, I still want to point to this. It's immediate relative category, all right? And they're already documentarily qualified. And they're still waiting from September 2022, which is September, so 26 September, so October, November, December, January, February, March, April, and now it's end of May. So already 8 months. 8 months. Even in the immediate relative category. So you see, even in the immediate relative category where the immigrant visa is immediately available once USCIS approves the case, you still do some waiting. All right. So it's very important to start these cases as soon as possible. So Kita, it's really hard to say. In Nigeria, I would recommend, let's find the embassy in Nigeria. Let's see. I would recommend reaching out directly to the embassy in Nigeria. Here we go. I already clicked on this before. There you go. U.S. Embassy in Abuja. Looks like that's got to be the only embassy that they have, I think, in Nigeria. Some of them, they're not on this website, so you might find another one. But the closest embassy to where your husband lives, that's going to be the U.S. Embassy that will do the interview, basically, for your husband. So this is their phone number. Reach out to them. Say, hey, I have a petition for an alien relative petition for my husband, immediate relative category. We're already documentarily qualified. We've been documentarily qualified back in September 2022, and we still did not get the interview scheduled. So I was wondering if you can give me that information, when approximately I should expect that interview. Again, don't be too upset if they don't give you any information, because it's at their discretion and they can just say, no, we can't give you that information. But you never know. Sometimes you get nice people on the phone, and it's not really hard to check for them the schedule of next available when these interviews are being scheduled. Keep in mind though, once you do have, and it goes for everyone, once you do have that interview scheduled, you will have it scheduled. Let's say if you get it scheduled June 1st, 2023, you will have it scheduled for June 30 or June 31st or July 1st. So like 30 days ahead, the actual interview date. So they give you 30 days in order to complete the medical examination. I highly recommend completing that medical examination as soon as possible, not waiting closer to that actual interview date, because I've actually seen a case where somebody waited too close, like 5 days before the interview. They did the medical examination, and when they went for an interview, they were turned around because the consul or whoever, the embassy that do the interview, they have not received the results yet from the doctor of the medical examination. So just get it out of the way as soon as possible, so that you know for a fact that everything's good to go. And yeah, definitely get ready for the interview, because I think it's going to be sometime really soon, like literally around the corner, because you've done already all your waiting. So I think it should be really soon. So everyone, thank you very much for your questions. I hope you found my answers helpful today. If you have any follow-up questions, do not hesitate to ask them in the comments below. Just make sure, please, like I said, don't respond to my comment within your comment, because I don't see those responses. YouTube does not send me notifications for those. Just submit a separate comment either under this video or under any other video that you're watching, and I will see it on this wall. So thank you very much. Always appreciate your time. God bless, and I'll see you in the next video.